All that is, and all that can be, is already here, and is already done. Thus, everything of the great design will come to pass, and nothing will prevent it. The corrupt hearts and minds in the pride of man attempt in vain to supplant nature to establish their own order, but the tides of the all, written in parables of the stars and their constellations, will be a force that will wash away their every scheme. There are ancient technologies here, scattered about the ruins of Earth, but they lay dormant. Some of these technologies are plain to see in testaments of a once great power, but do not be deceived, their silence is their dominion. Their ruins are the tokens and beacons as a foretelling to those with a loyal moral code, for those forsaken by this lost world. The rest of all its apparati, that is powered by the sun, remain hidden in the deepest and of the darkest places, awaiting the light. Their instruction of operation in their many parts are written in ancient texts, manuscripts, mythologies, allegories, and parables, but that which in their fullness can only be constructed in the mind and the body of pure hearts. These are not technologies of manual labor, but devices of knowledge commanded by harnessing unifications of the seven ethers of consciousness. These are the lights hidden by what appears as a black sun of darker firmaments, but which on our part as humans is the absent prism of knowledge as the framework of the sleeping mind. We are in the daylight dream. For there are many illuminated worlds beyond us, that the trinity of the mind, body, and the soul, which two precede our thoughts, can only conceive. But the fears of man and their machines have placed illusory veils in front of us. They know that one day that their calcified eyes will be eviscerated by the transcending omnipotence of awareness, as the lights of the seven suns that rise in their majesty above the horizons of consciousness. Out of their spite and envy of the true stewards of this world, they will force their limits on us. They will take up posts as the many leaders of nations, but as whom are capable only of manifesting the worst global destructions, and as such, divine knowledge which speaks outside of them, to this day still remains hidden. Here is an example of such instructions. Psalms 23 verse 4, 5 and 6. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff they comfort me. The valley of death. The basins at the foothills and paths of time through the dark valleys of awareness, feminine, and consciousness, masculine, or the left and right hemispheres of the brain. On making the conscious choice to leave this, the narrowest toroidal trajectories of time between thresholds of 13 to 32 Hz, the expansion of the mind, will be greeted by every enemy of the self, but we will have guides that will lead us, provided we hold true to the moral code. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Of course, if we can keep our mind on the light without the influence of our darkness feeding on our emotions, gradually induces a physical stirring, as the body begins to prepare to take its electromagnetic flight into the quanta of mental metamorphosis. As the fears grow in the valley of the shadows, a stirring will emanate within the sacral chakra in the abdominal region of the body, that feels like nerves and anxiety, but it is the destabilized potential powers of fear. But if the mind remains still, that same fear will stabilize, inducing a growing intuitive and instinctive response that begins to invert emotions into an opposite rising of power. If the emotions are recultivated by the mind, its carrier signals are pressures that will release sacred oils, that will rise up through the spinal column or rod reaching the brain. Once arriving at gates of the crown chakra, they will stimulate the pineal gland, whereby the brain activity illuminates the prism of the mind at the base of its temple. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. If we can achieve this, we will be given the keys to the kingdom of our own version of heaven, within which at any time we dwell. This is one of many endless examples in ancient contextual instructions. These are the sacred instructions to technologies that in this case are embedded within the psyche of the subconscious mind, that first must be understood before advancing onto bigger and infinitely greater things.